of information, facts, and much more in-depth discussions for all participants and delegates present here. Um, if there is one thing that defines Gujarat, it is the belief that big goals are achievable, not someday, but within a timeline, with business models and with results on the ground. A decade ago, the idea of running on renewables sounded aspirational, but Gujarat has shown its leadership in attaining the same. With more than 66 gigawatts of total installed capacity and more than 60% of its generation mix already sourced from renewable sources, it has shown that it is not a theory but the execution which really matters in the end probably. Now with the mission with 100 gigawatt ShapathPatra in our minds, we are stepping into a new chapter. There is no longer the uh, talk about just producing megawatts. It is about producing green hydrogen for industry, storage for round-the-clock power, transmission corridors for evacuation, and manufacturing ecosystems for global supply chains. In other words, Gujarat is moving from energy transition to energy transformation. And today's panel brings the people who are actively shaping that transformation from policy, technology, academia, and markets. We are poised to have a very engaging discussions ahead. Without making any further delays, uh, we are honored to host an exceptionally diverse and eminent panel representing policy, technology, academia, markets, and development. Our first panelist is Dr. Utpal Joshi, who serves as the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Saurashtra University. He is an accomplished experimental condensed matter physicist with international fellowships, competitive research grants, and over 100 research publications, and supervision of multiple PhD scholars. He continues to shape India's research, innovation, and academic governance landscape. The next with us is Mr. To welcome Mr. Dr. Utpal Joshi, VC of Saurashtra University, I'll call upon Mr. Nitesh Bidarkar from GUNL. Next up, we have with us Mr. Alok Das, CEO of KPI Group. Mr. Alok Das is an IIT Kanpur alumnus and currently the Group CEO of KP Group with 30 years of experience across engineering, R&D, power generation and renewable technologies. He has represented India internationally, published research in wind, solar and hybrid energy systems and continues to mentor clean tech and sustainability initiatives through IIM Ahmedabad and other platforms as well. Now, I'll invite Mr. J.B. Upadhyay from PGVCL to please present Mr. Alok Das with a sapling as a token of our appreciation and welcome. Next up, we have with us Mr. Ashu Gupta, our fourth panelist, who serves as the Vice President at CleanMax, where he leads regulatory and policy strategy and oversees permitting and approvals for wind, solar and hybrid utility scale deployments. His rich sector experience and spans rooftop, distributed renewables, manufacturing, large scale execution and regulatory services as well. To mentor and he continues to represent industry in multiple renewable energy associations as well. To welcome Mr. Ashu Gupta, I'll call upon Mr. Parth Patel from GUNL to please present him with a sapling as a token of our welcome and appreciation. And finally, we have with us Mr. Nimish Vora, Director of Energy and Utilities at PwC India, to lead today's discussion as our moderator, who is also a highly respected sector expert. With over 18 years of experience in clean energy transitions, renewable energy, e-mobility, regulatory strategy, PPPs and financial advisory, he has shaped pioneering He has shaped pioneering renewable programs across India and advised utilities and governments all the same on institutional transformation and decarbonization pathways. I'll request Mr. S.H. Jakaria from GUNL Commerce to please welcome Mr. Nimesh Vora. Thank you all dignitaries. The next 75 minutes we will explore the pillars that will shape Gujarat's mission 100 gigawatts. Without any much further ado, I'll invite now our moderator Mr. Nimesh Vora to lead the panel. Over to you, sir.
Hello. Thanks everyone. Thank you organizers for inviting me to this esteemed panel, and we have prominent panelists here. I'll start with one paradox. In energy system, energy is the only system wherein the fuel is free when we talk about solar and wind. Okay. It becomes costly when we have abundance of fuel. It is so paradoxical that when something is free and it is free available in so much quantity, it becomes costly, and that's where our system fails to handle it. So the problem is of abundance and the way abundance is used. So going forward, what we feel is this 100 gigawatt mission or whatever we say is characterized by not about how much of abundance are we garnering, but it is about when it is abundant, how are we using it, how are we converting it, how are we storing it, how are we moving it to a different time zone. So this is what I feel defines our panel discussion, that how do we deal with abundance. Uh, uh, from the perspective of Panchamrit, because one of the key word here is Panchamrit, I would like to highlight a couple of years ago, I think in the previous Vibrant Gujarat Summit, I was part of the study which we did for Government of Gujarat, and the paper was published part of the previous Vibrant Gujarat Summit. That was about setting Gujarat's own Panchamrit goals. Okay, so what are these Panchamrit? Those are 5 goals Government of India has set in COP26, and now Gujarat was the first state to define it for itself. So the first goal India set was 500 gigawatt of renewable by 2030. And when we did the study, we realized that it is not appropriate to apportion that goal to Gujarat based on, let's say, land share or based on energy share, based on population, based on GDP. Doesn't make sense, because this state is ahead of lot of other states. So it cannot have an average achievement. For example, when India says by 2070 we'll become net zero, 2075. So Gujarat cannot claim that, okay, I'll become net zero then. Okay, it is the last day on which the last village of the country would become net zero. Okay, so this state has to become net zero way earlier. So that's where we define the goals, whole exercise of science-based goal setting, quantification of the resources available, the kind of programs we do, what are the challenges emerging, the way we anticipate things may not pan out, so the scenarios around it. So finally, what we came out with, Gujarat should have 100 out of India's 500 gigawatt by 2030. That has now become the policy target. Government of India says that 50% of energy would be renewable by 2030. We are already beyond 50% of capacity, but 50% of energy. What we feel is Gujarat should not have anything less than 55% of energy. Okay. Third thing is avoiding the 1 trillion carbon dioxide of emission. Now Gujarat is industrialized state, lot of economy is depending upon the industries and carbon emitting sectors. So here the goal is about 145 million tons of CO2 to be avoided. Just to bring in context, what is this 145 million ton of CO2? It is equivalent to all cars in India if they are taken off the road for 1 year. And the kind of carbon they would avoid is the goal this state is setting that they will avoid in next 4 years. So this is the kind of goal it was set. Another one was carbon intensity of GDP. So 2005 levels, whatever was the carbon intensity, can we reduce it to 45%, reduce by 45%. What we found is Gujarat, since it is emitting more, it has potential to save more, and hence the goal is 60% of intensity is to be saved, and then net zero by 2047. But then what by 2030? So 2030 we have arrived at the term is net 65. That means after reducing all my emissions, whatever are the left out emissions, I'll offset 35% of it, and the residual 65% I'm leaving with. Gradually, I'll reduce the 65 to 40, 30, 20, 10, and then 0. So this is the kind of a context state has laid down. So just a simple context setting, 100 gigawatt RE, we feel that it's a mission, but it's actually a mission as a part of a bigger ambition. And the bigger ambition here is this climate goals, all these 5 climate goals. Uh, I'll give some statistics to get an insight. In terms of Gujarat's emissions, 90% of the emissions are from the industries, from the transportation, and from the power sector. So if we talk about decarbonizing this and moving to renewable, power sector easily is possible to move to renewable by RE power sources. But industries and transport, that's where it requires a mediating form, which is hydrogen. So renewable plus hydrogen, if we consider this combination, I think we are on the right track on that sense. In terms of industrial consumption, whatever industrial consumption Gujarat has right now, by 2032, we feel that it is going to be 2.5 times today's baseline. So not only we need to decarbonize the existing consumption, but our growing consumption is so high, we cannot afford to have the same share of carbon emission there. So we need to have an incremental demand migrating to from renewables. Third thing is about Gujarat has been early mover in terms of, let's say, wind projects. Okay, here Mandvi project, I recollect it is before 1990. Okay, 1987, 89. That time, like I was even toddler. So that time, that wind project was commissioned. So many projects of so early development has been enjoyed by the state. So that brings the leadership, but it also brings a challenge because there is a legacy. Now these projects are at the best site. Okay, that time those were best site and those were best turbines, 250 kilowatt turbine, 500 kilowatt turbine. But today those sites can have 3 megawatt of turbine. But now those sites are occupied. So that's where the potential of repowering the existing wind comes in a play. So if we repower the existing wind project, it can increase the capacity by 6 times without needing any further land and without needing much of other studies to be done, because you have historical data of 25 years of wind pattern. And how much of such capacity is there with the state? We have 1 gigawatt of such small turbine capacity in Gujarat. So imagine just replacing them unlocks 6 gigawatt of it. So we are talking about 100 gigawatt, and these are the measures by which we can achieve all this. Then comes green hydrogen. So everyone knows the use of green hydrogen and all. Lots of states have come out with the studies and all. I I I operate out of our Ahmedabad office, and we saw across the board several clients and states. People say that Odisha hydrogen policy we were part of. I was part of UP's hydrogen incentives program and the evaluation of proposal for Rajasthan as well. Everyone they are saying that, okay, why is Gujarat not coming out with the policy? Like, what is? Everyone says that, okay, this is the place where there are ports, there is water, there is solar, there is wind, there is industry, there is hydrogen consumption. There's no reason why it should not come out when maybe a state like UP comes out. Okay, so that's where there was a delay, but I would say a delay well invested, because now what it came out with is not only supply side of hydrogen, that okay, we need to make hydrogen projects, we need to have electrolyzers, we need to have water, land, grid, all those. They are also talking about demand side of it. Who is going to consume hydrogen? Okay, MSMEs who move to hydrogen, they would get an incentive of 50 rupees per kg of hydrogen consumption. City gas distribution companies, they blend the hydrogen with other capacity, other pipe natural gas, and then they also get an incentive. So they have created a market. So it's not about, at times it is not a race to become a first. It is a race to become most relevant. Okay, so I think state has done a good job in that sense that, okay, though they came out later, but then they actually tried addressing all the key concerns. So these are the, I would say, context setting points, and I would now move to a panel discussion. We are talking about capacity addition. India had something around 40-45 gigawatt per year kind of capacity addition. Now 2030 goal is 500 gigawatt. Okay, now how many years left? 4 years left. Where are we standing? We are standing at 250 to 60 gigawatt. How many left? 240. Simple mathematics, 60 gigawatt per year is needed. Our run rate has been 40 gigawatt. It is, though it is one of the fastest. Last from April to December, we have added 40 gigawatt in the country. more than so many countries in Europe. Okay, so it is no way small, but with our goal, it is still falling short. We need to have 60 gigawatt capacity addition. The problem here is not about the pace. Problem here is even with this 40 gigawatt addition, we have seen the days in the month of October, in the month of sunny days, 40% of solar generation in the country was curtailed because grid was not ready to absorb it. Now the problem is this way, that you want to add something, you want to feed a boy who is already filled. He is like not able to consume one more extra roti and he's puking out, and you want to feed even two more thali to that person. Now imagine the kind of response you would get. That's where the challenge is. Now how do we address this? To address this particular Gujarat cannot afford to have this kind of paradox that we add more capacity and we curtail more. There has to be some way it has to be addressed. And what I feel is what can address is not an ambition. What can address is the hard infrastructure. What it requires is a grid, energy storage system. This is what I think would make a lot of sense to start focusing on this. And that's where I'll start a panel discussion. Uh, I think Shubhra is set to join, but I'll directly move to Dr. Alok Das here. He comes from a prominent industry. So, sir, as a developer, often you face this challenge that projects are there, but then they are grid is not ready, so they are not commissioned. Or if they are commissioned, grid is not ready to absorb, so they are curtailed. This kind of challenge, how do you see, like RE policy has now came out with something called grid storage, and how do you see this is going to solve the problem? How KP Group envisaging RE plus storage kind of a solution making sense in Gujarat?
Thanks. I think we have been working along with him, and so many years we've been working with Nimish. Thanks that you have you upgraded. You know that I'm a doctor. So today, thanks that you have called me the doctor. Yes, I'm a doctor. I'm Alok Das. Means of course IIT alumnus. But I want to, before giving anything, I will tell you the background of Gujarat. 1988, जो अभी निमिष बोल रहा था ना, माडवी बीच पे 50 किलोवाट का 12 टर्बाइन आना था अंडर डैनिडा फर्म. डैनिडा फंडेड प्रोजेक्ट टू गुजरात विंड फर्म करके गुजरात का एक कंपनी था एज ए सब्सिडरी ऑफ गुजरात गवर्नमेंट. डैनिडा फंड के थ्रू क्यों पहले बोला था भाई तो विंड काम ही नहीं करता है. तो नाउ दैट टाइम डेनमार्क टोल्ड दैट आपने तो लगा के तो देखिए. So that was the starting point. Two states, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat. 1988 started first windmill where in Madhya Beach we have done there. And that was the beginning. And then there is a no setup who can promote. That time there is a department called Department of Non-Conventional Energy, DNES. Not MNRE today. So there is a body who is to promote like in something wind, something solar. Solar means one street light means electrification done. Or solar cooker, something. That is the study when it has come. Then from 1993 onwards, government becoming very serious because climate change is coming and a lot of global warming is coming. So India government told that okay, let us go ahead for the projects planning and all. And then there's a formation of MNRE. And some scientific performance, they started one certificate agency called NIWE, who can certify that what kind of windmill can be coming out here. Previously, what happened? People used to get some second-hand turbine and put it over here, and performance is an issue. So then there is a one system and processes come. So we have come to the system. This is certified by India, and then only you can put up like solar and wind. Nowadays we have come to that. Now. Long story short, because now today we are seeing that Gujarat itself is close to, 50 gigawatt plus. Country as a whole is a 250 gigawatt plus. So that asking that Nimish told, it is 5 to 6 gigawatt. Is it possible? Now his question, I'm coming to his question as a KP group. We are the hardcore first going for, first priority is our challenges is the execution. Today, there is a very conducive policy framed from the eminary to state regulations and all, that every time it has to be commissioned on time, then only there's a rotations of your revenue. So we started and finding previously what happened, grid was not penetrated over 50%. So there is no such issues that whenever the power is coming, it is to be consumed. There's a banking, previously it was a 12 months banking in Gujarat. So then there is cut into 6 months, and today is a 30 days banking. Why? Because there's a lot of influx, the solar, wind, hydel, biomass, all sort of power, power generation started coming. So grid become a indiscipline. Grid doesn't know that when that wind is coming mostly in the night, solar is coming day, and if there is some cloudy, that solar is not there, then coal-based is to be, some back down and all. So something like that. So grid needs to be a smart grid applications. But there is challenges. So what we have done today, because whatever we are doing mostly in the hybrid project today, because today that energy accounting system has been implemented, that 15 minutes whatever the generation at site, and you have to consume that 15 minutes whatever out of factory. If you don't consume, they can give the 30 days time to that slots, and if you don't consume, it will be forfeited. So it's the commercial losses. So now to solve out this problem, now new policy has come, battery storage policy. Now I think that whatever the last month, there are 3 policy Gujarat government declared, are integrated policy, green hydrogen policy, and storage policy. So this will give some sort of sync within the power utilization methodology. So what we are doing in the systematic study, prior to happening to the grid synchronization, what should be the generation, what should be the consumption, and how to match it through that base electricity through our battery storage. So we are planning like that way to mitigate, but there is a curtailment issues. So to solve the curtailment issues, so we are planning like that way. And now this has come from recommendations from all states. Now, let's say the policy declared in Rajasthan, they said there should be 5% as a mandatory base should be implemented, either solar, wind, hybrid, whatever you want. So now that base is coming is a tomorrow technology to have a discipline in the grid for the consumption level is concerned. So we being a KP, our portfolio is 6 gigawatt, 6,000 megawatt. We have already grid synchronized about 1.5 gigawatt. So now most of the project under the construction today. By this time, these type of challenges has come, both from CTU and STU side. We are having a proper planning how to fit into the grid and how to consume to the grid. So that is what probably is giving. And as per when PP is concerned, government is also taking a very good data center for SLDC. They need the minimum data of 9 parameters from the sites from PLC and all. They should take that this is the data should come 9 parameters. You can feed the data and they will not take the data. So you have to comply at the commissioning target, and they are all, through RTU, you have to maintain that what are the parameters, like a KWH, reactive power, everything, digital and analog. If it is not meeting, they will not accept the power and not really certify. So this shows that GUVNL, we are talking with all states, but GUVNL is very strict while drawing the power, both the private and the government power projects. So this type of discipline-based approach will give us the real, that what is the power is coming, and they can go for that. I think that is what probably is a tomorrow we have to go, that way of discipline, so that curtailment just could be avoided, and storage should be planned in before. If you go for the 2-hour storage or 4-hour storage, depends on you and cost economies. Like that we have to, so that is what we are doing for that in our company. Thank you.
Thanks. A very useful point. It's not only supplying power, it is also supplying data along with the power. So that the one who is receiving power also has an ability to analyze data and identify the variability, plan for the grid, and the curtailments are prevented. Now with this, I'll move to Ashu Gupta, who represents CleanMax. Ashu, you have been talking with C&I consumers, commercial and industrial end users, and I see that a lot of them are asking 24/7 green energy power. And for that, the provisions of open access, banking, hybrid renewables are very important. Do you see that this policy and regulatory framework in the state is truly unlocking the possibility of creating RTC power for C&I?
So, if you see the policy of Gujarat, which have been coming from time to time, has always been trying to match the pace of the requirement of the industry, and not only of the industry, but the commitment what the government of India and the state has been making across the world. May it be about achieving net zero and decarbonization. Now, if you see the current policy and about the achievement of total net zero and total decarbonization, it is a mix of not only renewable energy generation from solar, wind, hybrid, or integration of the batteries. It has to be a combination of using green hydrogen or green ammonia, and obviously to use the resources which were underutilized. It was very much important that the repowering has to be brought into the policy, and the best part obviously is in the state of Gujarat, whatever policy comes out or whatever regulation comes out, perhaps this is the state where it is followed in the letter and spirit. And if you see the new integrated renewable energy policy is a great combination of all such parameters which will lead to CNI consumers to attain RE100. May it be through generation and consumption of power through solar and wind, which is with or without ESS, or it is with a mix of availing carbon credits to fulfill the balance of the requirement, and also to ensure that adequate spaces are available to generate wind. The repowering which has been introduced is a very big achievement, or a very great initiative which this policy has brought to enable the entire industry to attain RE100.
Thanks, Ashu. So we have been talking about adding renewables and all. Okay, so capacity is added. The real challenge is not adding the capacity. The challenge is who is going to consume the capacity, especially when it is non-peak hours. Okay, so where everything is there available, no one is there to consume. Who is going to consume? I think the answer is the consumption would happen by industry and green hydrogen. These are the only two places wherein you can actually pump in all your surplus without a loss of economics. And just to give a context, green hydrogen policy, what has come out, set the target of 3 million metric ton per annum kind of a capacity by 2035. For that, how much renewable is needed? 75 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity. Giving the context, what is 75 gigawatt? It's the total grid capacity of Australia. So imagine, Gujarat is actually trying to build an Australia within Gujarat in next 8 to 9 years. So this is the scale of the work which is required to be done, and this is the kind of absorption it can have. So after that, one would not need to worry whether my demand is there, whether my consumption is going well or not. If it is not going well, grid is not taking, pump it to hydrogen production, pump it to maybe some industrial use, and then you are sorted. Hydrogen, one very interesting thing is everyone knows that okay, hydrogen requires a firm renewable. Okay, so the renewable has to be available round the clock in order to produce the hydrogen. But it is also very important, the renewable also requires a firm hydrogen. How does it mean? That means a renewable requires a definite demand from a hydrogen, otherwise renewable would not get dispatched. Now from where the demand for hydrogen would come, that's where the incentives and demand side initiatives are needed, and Gujarat policy has done fantastic job in addressing both supply and demand side. Now with this, I will move to Dr. Alok again. Like as a large developer, what is your take in understanding that okay, this hydrogen is acting as an anchor for a huge renewable energy capacity? What barriers do you foresee when it comes to land, water, permitting, this kind of dimension? And if Gujarat government is talking about integrating all this together so that there is no isolated or siloed development, what are your suggestions?
Yeah, basically, I'll tell you that how really demand curve has gone for the other state because the central government has the green hydrogen policy, and mostly, if you see that who are the user for let's say hydrogen first. So today, from coal base, there are a lot of steel industries, fertilizer, chemical. They are just using the hydrogen because hydrogen is required. So that hydrogen, if it is generated through renewables, it comes as a terminology called green hydrogen. So now, if it's a green hydrogen for electrolysis process, simple 12th standard physics, electrolysis method, you have to split into that hydrogen and water. This byproduct would be water and hydrogen can be used for that. That's a very simple thing for the electrolyzer. Technology, if you go to technology development, yes, there is a challenges. I'm not going to that now. For the time being, I'm telling that there is a curve of 5 that MMT, and out of the 3 MMT, you are telling Gujarat is taking the 75 gigawatt, and totally it is 125 gigawatt demand as a country. So now, central CTU projects is very okay. Suppose if somebody, a steel industry is there in Odisha, and they need a green hydrogen. So there is a, that ISTS benefits there. If there is a project in Rajasthan, solar, wind in Gujarat, they feed into power to CTU, Central Transmission Unit, that power go to Odisha and they draw the power and all. And that is what is happening, and there is a benefit was there up to 2025. All the transmission charges was 0. So that way, that is the development. Now question is, if it is a Gujarat green hydrogen policy, so obviously there's some relaxation required in terms of, I think GEP, everybody is here. So first thing, you have to sliding for your drawal voltage mostly, if it is not 66 kV, if it is below 66 kV, some policy improvement required for the transmission and wheeling charges. So if you can relax to that, and today about 10%, previous policy orders are 50% of that. So some, I've not gone through the green hydrogen policy of Gujarat, which is declared recently. So some sort of white paper, we, in that day, being I'm a convener of CII, so I have met with our power minister. So they said that only after this policy, come the feedback from the industry, we can look into this matter. So this is a forum can make some sort of white paper, what is required for the green hydrogen viability. My suggestion should be, there should be transmission and distribution, some sort of relaxations, if it is a 66 kV below, if it is 66 kV above, all sort of things there. And there should not be limitations of contract demands and banking limitation of 30%. So today, if I'm going for net zero initiatives, if that, you can take the charges, whatever the charges are, the regulations. But if you're limiting me, then I'm abundant for my net zero initiatives. So that kind of relaxation is required for the green hydrogen. Otherwise, not only green hydrogen, any captive, I can tell, that any kind of captive resolution. So that can make up. There are so many chemical factories in the Ankleshwar, Baroda, fertilizer company, in Gandhidham, like all government company, Kripco, IPCO, all sort of things. So they are in the state-related company where green hydrogen, whatever 3 that MMT is possible. Now, 3 MMT required about 75 gigawatt. 1 megawatt required 4 acre of solar land and 5 acre of wind land. Can you multiply by this target? There is a challenges. So now government has to come up the infra development. That is the second option probably they should provide. So if they can give the infrastructure facilities, like there are a lot of lands are available, so they can give that some kind of land like Solar Park Charanka developed, something Khawda has been developed, something like that, they can give some of the specifically for green hydrogen, something like that. So that is possible. So land and power evacuation. Today, great challenge is that there is a power evacuation. So 3, land, power evacuation, policy level, there is some sort of relaxations in the transmission and wheeling charges. So this will give, because today, whatever may be the conditions, we have recently got the order of NTPC for green hydrogen. We are doing for there of the 1 megawatt. So we are doing, now today cost is very high, it's more than $4. So if this type of things is coming with a lot of indigenizations come, today we are all bringing electrolyzer from outside. So some sort of, I think some sort of PLI schemes has come in India, because government of Gujarat is very, very conducive and supportive for PLI scheme. Some company in Baroda like GFL, some company like, they are going for the backward integrations of electrolyzer and some sort of electronic things are, the reverse engineering and all. So they are doing. So these are the 3-4 points which will help to be considered by the government, so that green hydrogen can see the date. And as a developer, we have to, because somebody needs a green hydrogen and we are the developer to supply. So we need As a developer, I can develop a project based on land and PE availability. Like today, in a CTU, like in our company, KP has developed 1 gigawatt CTU connectivity in Jamkamalia. So such type of if infra is there are investors like our company can develop that, and we can supply the green hydrogen as a developer. So that thing possible if the infra is available. Thank you.
Thanks for the perspective. In fact, I'll respond to a couple of them which are there in the policy. Good part is they have come out with some I would say discount to transmission and wheeling charges for green hydrogen. So it is there in the policy. Some kind of relaxation. They heard you before you say that. So it's a good part. Another thing is you said about infrastructure to be made available. There's a concept of hydrogen hub, what they've created, and then expeditious allotment of land, lot of other things. It's like an SEZ one would create to have all hydrogen allied industries together in a geographically concentrated area. So these are the provisions already there. But one point I'd really like to take it. Do you understand what is the costliest water to drink in the world? What would be the cost of it? The bottle which is there, it's about what, 20 rupee per liter? The costly is how much? 100 rupee, 1000 rupee, 10,000 rupee per liter? The costliest water is the water which is not available. Okay, so when you are in Saharan desert and you want to drink a water and water is not available, is the costliest water. So to take his point is when someone wants to put a green hydrogen industry there, the banking which is not available is the costliest banking. It's not about that you give 30%, you take more charge, you give more banking because banking is needed. Because one has to run the electrolyzer round the clock, 24 hours. Okay, so 30% doesn't help it. So ensuring that it's not that you create the scarcity of the facility and make it costly, and otherwise in the numeric terms it looks cheaper. It's not that. It has to be a graded pricing, and this kind of discussion one would need to take it further. I'll move to again Ashu on this. We are talking about hydrogen. Now this theme is talking about hydrogen as well as industry. So going to Ashu back here, you would have seen that renewable consumption obligation, RCO, has come up substituting RPOs now. What do you hear from industry? Are they considering as one more complicated compliance requirement, or it's an opportunity to decarbonize? And what do you see are the market mechanism one would need to see to decarbonize one of the most carbon intensive segment, which is industry? So what are your views?
See, decarbonization and sustainability compliance is no more treated as a burden, obviously, by the industry, because industries directly get benefited out of it by getting a better exposure in the international market. They get a better premium and a better price for their products. So, and obviously, if at all so if at all it was considered to be a burden, obviously nothing can supersede whatever is mandated under the right to life. So if something is mandated under right to life, obviously it cannot be called as a thing which is of a burden. Now, industry in India and perhaps in the state of Gujarat has been taking it up very positively. They have been going all guns to increase their carbon replacement and shifting their economies to renewable energy right from 10%, 20%, and now most of the industries are talking about going 100% green. So sustainability and RCO has no more been treated as a burden. Now, the government has been coming out with various options to comply with the renewable compliance obligation, and obviously apart from that historical mechanism which were there, like you generate green power or you buy green power and then you have RECs. The ministry has also proposed recently, if you have heard, something which is called a buyout mechanism. Now, the central government is also thinking about coming up, it is still under debate, but they are also coming up something which will further enable this RCO compliances in a much better way with a combination of all these mechanisms.
Thanks, Ashu.
I'll just interrupt the panel for a minute here. Please join me in welcoming Shubhra Thakur, who serves as Director of Policy and Markets Asia Pacific and Country Director of India at Long Duration Energy Storage Council. She drives regional market development, ecosystem partnerships, and strategic policy interventions across Asia Pacific for LDS Council. Earlier work spans corporate affairs, climate and equity centered policy design, and large scale national voter and media outreach programs. Uh, I'll request Mr. Yuvraj Gadvi from UGVCL to please come up and welcome Ms. Shubhra Thakur. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, sir.
Thanks. So, Shubhra, I'll catch you to the pace here. So, what we started here is about a context setting of Gujarat's Panchamrit is about decarbonizing. Then we identified what is actually making carbon intensive Gujarat, which is industry, transport, and power. And then we are talking about adding capacity is not sufficient unless and until we have an ability to absorb it. So that's where grid and storage came in a play. So on the storage front, since you are part of long duration energy storage, the government of Gujarat came out with very ambitious, I would say, pump storage capacity policy. Set the target of close to 75 gigawatt hour by 2035. Now, just to bring context, today India's total installed capacity in pump storage hydro is 3 gigawatt hour. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to become 25 times of the India's today in next 10 years. So such a huge task. With your insights on long duration energy storage, what do you see are three things government of Gujarat should take care in next 24 months to make it happen?
Thank you for that question and setting that context. I think to begin with, in not just Gujarat, but what we've seen, like, country over, is that definitely clearances and getting land and other, things cleared in terms of setting up the project and also ensuring that the timelines of commission are met. That has been a challenge all over, and I think till the time we don't really expedite things on that front, things may not move that quickly. Apart from that, I think now, of course, the government of India and CEA, they have done a lot of DPR reports. Those studies are there in terms of which locations, which region, and there is a big impetus to pumped hydro storage, including policy. Now, so we're really hoping that things may move quickly from here. But as I said, that all across what we've seen so far is costs or maybe timelines related to rehabilitation, getting those commitments at different levels has been a challenge, and I think we still need to fare through them as of now as well in a big way. Yeah, I think mostly, when it comes to technology implementation, we are still there. We can always get there, but some of these nuances which relate to not just on the technical side the project, but also when people and societies are involved at large, is where we need to put some effort as well.
Thanks for that. And rightly said, the delays in pump storage projects is the biggest cost driver. It's not the technology or hardware which is making it costly. It's a time it takes from infusing money to start getting money back. And gladly CA has now relaxed the need for DPRs and all for off the river kind of pump hydro projects, and Gujarat would have a lot of them. So that's a good part. Coming to the industry, the second thing what we are talking is about we need to decarbonize when there is a lot of generation and off-peak supply, off-peak situation is there, grid is not able to absorb, who is going to take it? So industries and green hydrogen. We have covered green hydrogen enough. Now coming to industry, industrial decarbonization through long duration energy storage is not something very well understood kind of concept. What is LDES beyond pump storage projects? Not many people in the room might be aware. What do you see is the potential it holds for Gujarat when it comes to decarbonizing industries?
So first of all, I think this group seems to be quite insightful. But to quickly go over what long duration energy storage is. So basically, we're talking about 4 categories of technology. electrochemical, where you have all your batteries and diversified chemistries included, going beyond lithium ion. And on the mechanical side, we have compressed air, liquid air, pumped hydro storage, gravity-based storage, and so on. There is a very important category of long duration energy storage technologies which falls into thermal storage, which is very less, I think people don't know much about it, that is very less known or understood, but has a big role to play when it comes to decarbonization. And when I say that, there is a strong potential not only for Gujarat but also the entire country and different regions beyond countries when it comes to industrial decarbonization. That is where you convert renewable energy, which is of course clean energy, into high temperature heat, and you use that for powering your industrial processes, whether it is in cement industry or food processing or any other which is really any energy intensive industry and requires high temperature to be served at long durations. So with that, there is a huge potential of cutting down on the use of fossils, and obviously, looking at how cost can be reduced when we're not depending on resources that are limited or are expensive. We can actually use cheap renewable energy to power heat-related processes there. And then, of course, the fourth category, which is the chemical, where you have green hydrogen, green ammonia, and the other chemicals as well. So all in all, long duration, when I see, has huge potential for any kind of a geography, because it provides you diversity with a plethora of technologies that coming from the understanding of the condition of that place or the topography of that place, one can really look at which technologies can be best deployed and used for meeting the challenges related to the grid when we have constrained transmission systems or access thereof. And then when we have issues related to curtailment, when there's excess generation leads to curtailment, that can be really solved with long duration energy storage, where you have assets, you store 8+ hours of energy at one go, and then utilize it later depending on the number of cycles or for hours that it can be utilized. So definitely, I mean, huge potential there. And I think now we need to, in India, move uh, from policy to scale, and that is where we will see more cost effectiveness coming by of these technologies and cost reducing in a big way, just as it happened at some point in time for solar energy, happened for lithium ion batteries, and this would be the next big play in storage or energy transition for that matter. Thank you.
Thanks. So we have now talked about industry consuming green electrons, electricity, and green molecules. Okay, so all other forms. Now the battlefield is not about making it; it's about actually making the equipment which makes it. So I'm talking about manufacturing. No state can achieve that energy transition with an imported supply chain. And to bring again a situation here, green hydrogen uh, production is only operating aspect of making green hydrogen. But if one talks about an equipment which goes behind making green hydrogen, so manufacturing ecosystem about electrolyzer, the catalyst, the materials, the insulator, lot of other things, the economic multiplier is very different. So a couple of years ago, we did a study for government of Gujarat that India wants to become $5 trillion economy by 2027. What should Gujarat become and how should Gujarat become? What should energy department do? What should climate change department do? And that's where this insight came up, that you need to enhance the next generation manufacturing ecosystem. The multiplier here is, if you spend 1 rupee in green hydrogen making, okay, you have an economic output, the multiplier effect of 1.5 rupee. But if you spend 1 rupee in the manufacturing of an electrolyzer or any such equipment, the economic multiplier is 2.5 to 3.5 rupees. So this is the kind of a GDP growth you can get. So now with this, I'll come to our esteemed panelist. I reserve the best for the last, but then very important to hear from Sir, Dr. Joshi, that here government of Gujarat is planning to create 6 lakh jobs in this particular area. Now, how do you see academia is gearing up for skilling them in electrolyzer, power system electronics, this kind of next generation manufacturing and system operation? So what do you see how the academia is gearing up for that?
Yeah, thank you, Nimish. I am surrounded by industry and the policy makers, and they see, but I have different perspective altogether, complementing the basic requirement of green energy. Whatever the target that we set to meet this target in time, okay, you need a skilled HR, human resource. And in my opinion, I am of the firm opinion that if you look at the Western world or any developed countries wherein, of course, this is not time to compare, we are far ahead marching for it. But at the same time, there is a great opportunity for the human resources which are in the universities, essentially, the students. Unfortunately, the industry, most of the time we see that as a academic perspective, work in silos, there are less breach between academia and industry, barring few of the premier institutes like IITs and all that. Leaving that aside, see, we cannot afford to lose the kind of opportunity for the young students actually to enter into this field. I tell you, whatever the data that we have, that from where, how much percentage the green energy comes and what is the fossil or conventional energy comes, that data most of the graduate students do not know. In fact, if this data is projected to them, I think that will be the appealing for them to begin and start liking into the field. Then it comes to curriculum and all that. Typically, most of the state universities, leaving the private aside, they have their own way by which they updating the curriculum. Now, this updation of the curriculum is a very essential integral part of this. Unless you keep updating your faculty as well as the students, it is very difficult to have a synchronization with the industry. Because when a graduate students, no matter with the management or whether pharmacy, whether pure science or engineering, when he goes out in the field, he will have to be again retrained. So that is missing, I would say. So multidisciplinary approach is something what has been missing, but now with this National Education Policy 2020, we had a very good chance of doing it, and it has already been started. So our graduation UG programs are all with the multidisciplinary approach. But then when it comes to actually pinpointing the technology like a green technology, energy and all that, renewable energies, there is a huge potential for interdisciplinary approach like a chemical scientist and the physics and the nanotechnologies and electronics sit together. I would say, see, leaving this engineering and technology aside, the backbone of the every industry is the pure science, basic science. If I give you classic example of, we have been taught about the silicon technology over the years. And it's the most useful technology we know. Everything around us is all silicon platforms. But now, a physics student would actually advocate for half an hour that this is not a viable technology in long run. Why? Because theoretically he calculates the efficiency of the solar cell is never be more than 23%. Because most of the solar spectrum is in infrared when it comes to silicon absorption. Now that concept that fellow learns, unfortunately he is lost when it comes to going into the field and delivering. So there is a kind of updating of the course like perovskite solar cells, which is a new generation of solar cells, tandem solar cells, wherein quantum dots, with silicon technology, you can have tandem solar. Of course, there are policies, and in Gujarat only we have this kind of manufacturing hub going to come up very soon. Now, what I want to emphasize here is it is the university wherein a kid learns these concepts. Okay, where is the lacuna of the existing technology and what could be the viable solution? So, for industries to come up and putting like, for example, multidisciplinary as well as a center of excellence sponsored by, because government and funded universities, you cannot expect them to go beyond a scaling limit to that. It is only limited to our incubation center, and startup and innovation centers can produce only the prototype. Okay, but then it is the industry who has to take up a call and maybe, establish a kind of linkage between some of the clustered universities, not every university, but clustered universities, wherein a trained, skilled manpower for a particular job could be, cultivated in long run. And that will be the most viable solution, win-win situation, and the synergy between industry and academia would come.
Thank you, sir, for this interesting insights. In fact, I did my engineering 21 years ago, and I feel that had this situation be there, then my career trajectory would have been very different. That Gujarat is actually housing now going to be giga factories. So much of semiconductor design is set to happen, manufacturing set to happen, because people used to go overseas to see that. Now it is going to happen in the same state. So very different times when it comes to academics this time. I'll move to Dr. Das again. Here, Gujarat leads in deploying the projects, but we see that when it comes to manufacturing, for wind, let's say gearbox, still imported. Okay, for battery, so battery cells, still imported. All those problems, where do you see, how would Gujarat government actually fix this? That import dependence is reduced and the local manufacturing increases. Where do you see as a developer you can play a role?
Thank you, Nivesh. I think Dr. Joshi has given a very good topic which is close to my heart. First, I have to address that. See, he has told that any kind of renewable energy which is 500 gigawatt, and I'm in this field willing, he has touched the very critical subject, human capital. Now today, I don't know how many of yours have visited to Khavda site, which is 30 gigawatts are coming, which is 5 times than Paris, 3 times than Singapore, and where this much megawatts are coming, gigawatts is coming, where is the manpower? Skilled manpower. Today, I can tell you there's a very few companies who has taken this as a challenges for tomorrow. We have taken one working interview, Dr. Saab, in Jaipur or Jodhpur. There is a 2,500 people had come, and we have found hardly 15 to 20 people who can fit to our job. So thing is like this, where is the people? And we are sitting in an academic place. So that root cause analysis we have done, what we should do for a 500 gigawatt project and how to sustain in a long-term basis. So we are now planning, because we are based in South Gujarat, we are now having some collaborations with company like PDPU or PP Sabani Institute, where we are giving and offering the course content which is required to our industry right from the first semester to the last semester. So that is what probably every company should come and create the human capital for such a long time. And this is a very, very clean subject. So if we can take for the either diploma degree or even for PhD, we have to have some sort of fixed, and industry and academia can work. And we are very glad that this is the matter to be processed immediately on the priority so that we can create a human capital. Today, everybody, those who are coming for general engineering or B school or whatever, they need a white collar job. If they go for one day in Khavda, next day they put a resign paper. They need a job in Bangalore. They need a job in Mumbai. So sticking to these people who can maintain, because every day, because we need that is engineering excellency, there is wind power. What is not there? From civil, mechanical, electronics, and your very civil engineers are cantilever beam. It is a distributed power. And 365 days, and a lot of electronics are there. So now, whole that engineering college can be embedded into one single wind tower. Something like that. Similarly, solar is there. Like what he is telling, Dr. Saab is telling, 23% mental variant. Perovskite is 32%, IIT Bombay is doing. So something like that, I think this is a very good initiative where that industry and academics should work together. Back to Nimish's question, challenges of supply chain, very clear directives from Government of India. Make in India, self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. 80% components should be categorically manufactured in this country, otherwise they will not certify a product which is Make in India initiatives. Today, whatever today in the wind installation, more than 52 gigawatt has been done here, mostly it is to be giving in the imported component and all. Now today, if you see that WTG first time coming, gearbox have been manufactured in Tamil Nadu, ZF steering. So previously we used to take the gearbox from wind energy or some sort of Asuk or Flender, Germany, another thing. So now gearbox being manufactured here. Why? Because logistic time takes a lot of time. Because anything called any tender is coming today, they are giving, if it is a 100 megawatt project, they are giving, I think these people are very strict, they are giving only 12 months time. If people is coming for the CTU project, 24 months time, come what may, that including supply chain. So that is what Make in India initiatives have come. Gearbox is being manufactured here, generator being manufactured here, blade being manufactured here. What are things where depends on, country like other country? Bearing and main shaft. Highly precision jobs are required because these machines are elevated 140 meter up, 365 running, and all climatic conditions. If you go to Maharashtra, there is 140 inches rainfall. If you go to Rajasthan, there is a 40 plus 50 degrees Celsius. So your components should be customized or tropicalized based on yours. Suppose today, if you go for our gearbox into USA or just any sub-zero temperature, your gearbox cannot work. So you have to have your own design how to temperature being sustained from minus 22 plus 60 degree. Now today, all the manufacturers today they have come up to 50 degrees Celsius limitations. Now do you know that I don't know how many people from the Rajasthan, there's a 52 degrees Celsius. So if they're 52 degrees Celsius, how to sustain the gearbox in long term, not only 1 year, 8760 hours, 365 days. So this is the challenges. So obviously now under Make in India, they are testing to be certified here. If it is a blade, there should be 1 million cycle they to started here itself. And Gujarat is a place where testing center established in Baroda. Tamil Nadu, there is a gearbox manufacturing is there. There is a company called, I think, Senbian company, they have put in Rajkot, there's a blade manufacturing factory. So every multinational company, they are coming here under Make in India initiatives. If it is solar is concerned, if you start from Rajkot to Surat, you will get more than 15-20 gigawatt of your manufacturing facilities. So there are so many manufacturing facilities over here. So I think supply chain wise, wind is a bit complicated issues where we need more that electronics and all, like all the controller. Still today we are dependent from the outside. So now controller, main bearing, shaft, if it is to be done, so then we can do the Make in India initiative. Otherwise, mostly 80% these components are being manufactured here.
Thanks for this insight. I'll quickly take a dimension on financing and investment perspective. Whatever capacity addition we are talking about, if we translate into money terms, what it requires is almost $68 billion of investment every year till 2032. So this is the kind of money we need. Now money comes with what? Money comes with the interest and cost. Now if I talk about the COVID period, whatever were the interest rate vis-a-vis now, we are anyway higher by 2.5 to 3%. So that much interest rate is increased. In terms of rupee dollar exchange rate, you would have all seen from 81, 82 rupees all the way 91 rupees. So the kind of devaluation we have seen. So all this adds to the project cost. All this affects the viability of the project. But if you see the auctions, reverse auction, the tariffs have come down or they would have remained. So the aggression is there. So now I see developers after winning the bid, they don't know whether to celebrate or not to celebrate because they have won it. So because the project would come up or not. So the challenge here is not only adding the capacity, winning the capacity, adding, and then the challenge is not only adding but actually operating. Okay, so this is the grades of the challenge which you have gone through. But coming back to the topic here, what is going to reduce the cost of capital? What is going to reduce this interest rate burden? Two things. Number one is the payment security. I have done one engagement with government of MP, that time 2017-18. Today Honorable Minister Piyush Goyal ji was mentioning that okay, solar was reducing 8 rupees, 6 rupee, and then it was stuck up, and suddenly it has become below 3 rupee. That was a transition we were supporting government of MP with. That is REWA project. It did tremendous job about payment security. If the developer doesn't get a money, from where it would come, lot of structuring around it that reduced the cost of funding by 200 basis point, which is 2%. Another thing which would reduce further the cost of funding is policy certainty. Okay, so I'll highlight this, that manufacturing would not come unless and until there is a frictionless policy and ecosystem around it. So on the policy front, we have seen this state is one of the fantastic state to work with. They are policy driven. They come out with the policy and they abide to it. But in 2023, lot of states came out with open access related charges, banking related amendments, changes, and it actually completely derailed the way open access and C&I market used to work. So those things, if they are avoided, and we have seen the lenders actually discounting the premium on the capital because of this, and it reduces 1 to 1.5% kind of a cost reduction. So these are the ways I feel the models of policy certainty should go. And in these three policies, government of Gujarat has done fantastic job. There are task force headed by no other than the chief minister, and then there are interdepartmental committees. So these are the, I would say, not only about being a role model for the state in the country or for renewable, but it is also going to be a role model for a clean and green governance of the policy for the country. With this, I'll come quickly to Dr. Joshi on that whatever developers and we feel about so whatever developers feel about policy certainty, that is one aspect because it affects timeliness and the commissioning of the project. But equally important is for academicians, because when it comes to R&D doesn't happen in a period of 1 year or 2 years. It requires a long gestation and policy certainty. Where do you see government of Gujarat can support in those aspects?
Yeah. So, as I already mentioned about how the academia can play a role along with the synergy with industry. Equally important is when we say ease of doing business, it is equally true. Like whatever the policies that we have need to be strengthened in a sense that more academician can come into the play in generating the, as Alokji pointed out just now, about skilled manpower, and that will come only from the university sector. So perhaps I would say more than 100% subsidy should be given to the industry who are setting up his research center in the university. That could be one of the areas, 125% or so, so that the local cultivation of the skilled manpower can be empowered there itself. So likewise in other sectors as well, we have fantastic management policies in the university as well. Other areas, but the problem is the multidisciplinary approach has not been matured so far. So that need to be cut short, and in NEP 2020, as I pointed out earlier, we had an opportunity to actually cut short of these things. Curriculum development, the development of the curriculum. In fact, in our university, we have started something called CAB, which is Corporate Advisory Board. And this Corporate Advisory Board is above the Board of Studies. For every subject, we have Board of Studies who decide the curriculum and all that. But then the voice of the industry need to be there. Not only the voice, in fact, they have to take up the internship. Okay, so that liability has to be there. So it should be kind of a liability and asset both together, which will work. I think government need to enhance this approach actually to have more intern, and this intern actually, those who are doing the intern over there, and the companies should have a voice in making the curriculum of the university, and eventually we can have a path back ahead.
Thanks for that insight. In fact, one more interesting aspect is it's a project developer who puts a lot of money in the project. They face the biggest hit when it comes to uncertain policy changes and sometimes retrospective implications on that. So I'll come back to Dr. Das here. New policies mentioned 2-year review period, right? So how do you see as a project developer, the one who is putting equity in the project, this comforts you as a predictability, or do you see that as one of the risk going forward?
No, obviously, basically, suppose there is a one set of policy which has been declared, and on that there's a developer started doing the job, and if some regulation come in between, suppose one thing has come that okay, you have to have a retrospective that effect from June 22, something like that. By this time, projects there are so many projects have been commissioned. So people are getting something called not very comfortable situation how to meet the total of the standard and this thing, which is they are expected that any kind of change in law they should come in a prospective basis. If it is a retro, obviously some recourse or something government could support that how to do that. And maybe that whatever the present technology available and what is the demand today of that retrospective effectivity, that may not be, the previous technology cannot support that. Something like that. So previously maybe there's a wind technology differently. There may not be defect technology or not there. So some of the manufacturer face problem, like, so because we are a developer, we have a multiple kind of machines we are using. Some people says, yes, we can convert. Some people say there's a problem. So there is a one kind of things are there. Then second thing is, let's say that something like that our investors were like. So there was some policy was declared, particularly our Gujarat government is coming with a very fantastic policy. There's the only PP available for up to 10 megawatt. And there is some investments were going on. So some in between they said there is a mandatory of DCR component will come. So obviously there's a fixed tariff and they have already taken a decision. Your financial close happened. So feel some sort of change in law creates of their investment decision. So these type of things, our as a developer or in the industry, we are also in that investors also. So if some sort of, if that policy declared and if it is enforced up to that looking period, whatever, the control period, that would have been very appreciated. So that is what probably my comment on this subject, yeah.
Thanks for the insight. In fact, good part here is in this new policies, government has very clearly mentioned the projects which get commissioned during this window for their whole life of 25 years, the rules are set. Okay, whatever changes happen at the 2-year window would be applicable for subsequently commissioned projects. So it's like that Janam Kundli is created and it is not going to change every now and then. So investment decisions are not at risk. So that's a good part it has done. I'll come to Ashu. There is a provision for single window clearances, and now you know that okay, energy is no longer just a EPD subject, but it requires a close coordination with, let's say, agriculture, environment, GIDC, SLDC. So where do you see how effective is the single window mechanism going so far now, and any suggestions if you feel it can be improved further?
Yeah, in last couple of years, if you see, Energy and Petrochemical Department in coordination with GEDA as well as GUNL, they have already worked out a single window clearance mechanism where the start of the registration of the project starts with a single portal which is which is owned by GEDA, where the data, once you punch in, it goes straight away to the Energy and Transmission Corporation, and from there it goes to the distribution licensee. So making most of the works very streamlined and through a single window operation. However, a lot of things have to be done. As you rightly said, the environmental clearances as well as the agriculture or the irrigation or the NHAI clearances, that will also take a time. The best part is there has been an initiative, there has been a willingness which has been shown where initial hiccups have been addressed by connecting through a single portal the Renewable Energy Department plus the Transmission Department plus the Distribution Department. So over a period of time, definitely we believe that these all will get integrated.
Thanks for the insight. So with the stable policy, I feel Gujarat is not only ready for the existing one, but the future-oriented technologies as well. Now, what all are future-oriented technology we are talking about? Let's say it's not only technology in the science term, but it is also a configuration in the engineering form. Canal top solar. Okay, so do you know that Gujarat has 80,000 kilometer length of canal network within Gujarat? and if the 10% of it is tapped for installing solar, it is world's largest solar ready water surface in this state. So this is the potential that Canal Top Solar. This is the state which has shown the demonstration project near Vadodara so many years ago, almost 25 years ago, when existing Prime Minister was then swearing in as a Chief Minister. There is a tremendous opportunity for the state to do that. There is a tidal wave energy, Gulf of Cambay. It has a tidal wave potential of almost 7 gigawatt. Now, how much is this 7 gigawatt? It is enough of a peak demand which Gujarat state faces during the peakest day in the year. So, if this untapped potential is converted into a grid supply, it can address your peak supply issue. So these are the kind of newer technologies, newer configurations which are emerging. I'll move to Shubhra with this. Beyond lithium, where do you see long duration energy storage has a potential? Whether it is iron, iron air, or maybe flow or thermal, which all technology do you see are going to play a role?
So beyond lithium ion, as on date, we are seeing technologies like compressed air, liquid air, storage commercializing. And I mean, basically these have commercialized at some scale. And as I said, that we need more scale for the cost to come down now. So we are estimating, so commercialization would mean that, the faster the costs can come down. And we have estimated at the Elders Council that in the next 3 to 5 years, we are expecting cost reduction in the capital costs of these technology installments of up to 40 to 50% cost reduction in capital expenditure. So that is the kind of impact or potential, we are seeing. In the mechanical segment, again, as I said, compressed air, liquid air has commercialized. There are projects. In fact, the first compressed carbon dioxide project of India is already, happening in Karnataka right now. We're also seeing the market move to diversified battery chemistries now, which is not just limited to like some iron air or zinc air or so, but we're seeing other chemistries like vanadium also coming up. There are many aqueous flow chemistries which are now commercialized, but also have a promising potential of cost reduction in a big way. And then, of course, as I was mentioning, thermal storage technologies which have been deployed. Many of the projects are now happening in India also in some sectors. But across the globe, they are already creating a big impact in moving to cleaner energy sources and bringing down, the extent of carbon that is emitted in the air, and reducing GHG emissions also. So that, and of course, in India, of course, we have clearly defined policies on green hydrogen. For example, similar way, we need to understand that energy storage, we have something called as the energy storage framework of the Ministry of Power, but in terms of implementation, it has to now move to other technology categories than just BESS or PSP. So there has to be an LDES carved out clearly, and understanding of many other technologies, how we can work with those and start implementing those in India. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for the insight. One question I have for Dr. Das, in terms of emerging technologies, which two emerging technologies you feel the state of Gujarat should pilot and focus in next 3 years to become to remain globally competitive on that?
See, as we have been talking for last 1 hour, there is for the infra and land scarcity is there. One emerging technology probably we can explore into an offshore, where Gujarat is placed by, I think more than 1600 kilometers. And I think Gujarat government is the first government in India who has done almost all study to happen for nearshore technology, if not offshore in full-fledged. And that potential is more than a gigawatt scale. So if there is a land acquisition issues and all, at least they have already started. So we can have some offshore technology initiatives over here in the country, which is not there. As a country, there is a 70 gigawatt that potential, and Gujarat itself 36 gigawatt is there. So obviously that could be a process. Probably somebody can have some sort of that RFQ, declarations, and let them all the developer to participate. Technology is available. I think Gujarat government, one of the seminar, Gujarat government already told they can buy the power already over 4 rupees. DGF already declared. So let market to work on this. Only that guideline should be there. So that could be emerging where we can take it forward. And base, of course, there is some sort of indigenization make in India, because now food is costly. So there is a tender and it's coming up, but something called PLI scheme based, some companies coming, probably that could be another storage system through base, with that hybridization towards the movement of FDRE or RTC can be the emerging technology for that.
Thanks. Last question to panelists, all of them, one by one. If imagine this panel is meeting again in 2028, okay, again of it, and some breakthrough has happened, either it is a technology or market or a policy. What do you envisage would have happened which furthers Gujarat's journey to decarbonizing? What is your answer? Let's say one by one, very quick, half a minute kind of answer.
I believe when we meet next in 2028, there is no doubt that the state of Gujarat will emerge as the largest contributor to the $5 trillion economy mission of Government of India. And this economy will definitely be backed by renewable energy. So entire economies of the business of the state, whatever contribution it will do, it will be doing with the renewable energy in a much sustainable way.
In my opinion, Gujarat has a massive plan. I think that some sort of follow-up work between that whatever target has been done and what is the achievements through execution, follow-up. I think there's a body called nodal agency. They should take the monitoring, and monitoring and execution would be the right key to map Gujarat into the country highest capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, by 2028, I can see that this 500 gigawatt plan that we have in mind, I think we should be able to reach through. Yeah, so there are so many things, the regulatory authorities and the green energy initiative has to be cluster-wise localized, and in that case, many of the academics and industry would have joint thing to happen, and for long-term viable solutions.
So I will speak from the perspective of storage, and more so long duration energy storage, and I'd also attach hope and aspiration to it, to what would have happened in the next 2 years. And that is to see that after 2 years, we would have seen that there were clearly set targets for long duration energy storage, which are on a strong trajectory to have been met. And it would, I think, be a great dream to see a homegrown LDES industry grow in Gujarat, with many technologies being manufactured here in parts of Gujarat, and that would be the way to go about energy security that we are very concerned about at the moment, and also cutting down our usage of fossils in a big way, moving in a big way towards energy transition and clean energy. So that would be what I think in the next 2 years we would have done a great deal on that front.
Thanks. Thanks for the panel. My answer to this question would have been, I don't see a technology, a market or policy breakthrough in isolation. I would see a state wherein the renewable parks would be talking to hydrogen hubs would be talking to storage network would be talking to industrial clusters. So this would be, I would say, a first state to give a playbook for rest of the country, that this is how the new age industrial revolution should take place. So I feel 2028 for me, that January would demonstrate this particular thing. That's my ambition. With this, I'll open up the floor for the questions from the audience. If there are any questions, please raise your hand, speak. Kindly identify yourself and then please.
Myself, JB Upadhyay. I am representing DISCOM, PGVCL. So my question may be full to Dr. Das. So we have faced the issue regarding the 30% banking cap in context of MSME specifically. So hardly it depends upon their type of industry or their own consumptions. If you talk about the third-party sale, then captive usage and solar rooftop, what do you think? What should be the optimized percentage of banking? Could be for in general aggregation.
You see, there are some discipline we have to follow. I do agree for that. Now, let's say for who is that MSME? I'm not talking about third-party sale or some sort of group captive. I'm talking about pure captive, and for the MSME sectors who want to survive the power cost. Today, if you see that one small textile company or one small manufacturing setup in Rajkot, they need a power which is cost is, let's say, more than 8 rupees, 7 rupees. So they need to have some projects and complete power which is generations, it should be used to that factory. Now question is, at the same time, generally if you see the demand and generation and consumption pattern, if it is a pure wind is concerned, so there is a generally surplus is coming 10 to 12%. If you make it in hybridization, so then it can be little lesser than that. So typically, if you go for the megawatt scale, more there's a 20% surplus is coming based on the 15 minutes average and all. So they can, to my opinion, whenever I got from the CII platform, stakeholder tells that okay, they can have some sort of banking charges more, at least they can allow full. So that is their demand. So now I think that fair, there should be some cut-off point should be there. Maybe some, if not 30%, maybe some 10 or 15% could be their desired point where in mid they can be compromised for that. Yeah.
Can you please pass on the mic?
Hello, myself Ghanshyam Wade from Alpha Divraj Group. My question to all panelists, especially to Alok Das sir and Ashu Gupta sir. Alok Das sir told about the emerging technologies, which will be in boom in the next years or the next fiscal of the time. The further two more technologies also developed or come to in picture by the latest policy. This is the rooftop wind and agrovoltaic solar, which is be much more boom in industry in subject to optimization of land, which is the more doubtful question about the development of the renewable in on ground situation in terms of the land price rates and all the things. So just being there some clarity on this two new technologies, rooftop wind and agrovoltaic solar. Thank you.
See, one thing has to be very clearly seen, that every technology has got its own merits as well as its limitation. The technology flourishes in those particular areas where they have got more merits. Now, there have been a lot of studies, research and trials on rooftop wind. Rooftop wind has started becoming more viable, more practical, and very soon we'll see a lot of policies across the country, especially in the state of like Gujarat, Karnataka, Maharashtra, where we have been decently blessed by winds. The only limitation with rooftop wind obviously is like wind is concentrated in very few locations in the state. So that will be very good if it is used in those particular areas where you have got a decent quantum of wind. End of the day, what you need is whatever you install, you have to get an economic viability out of that. So I cannot say that if rooftop wind is becoming a success, it can be installed somewhere in the state of say Uttar Pradesh or Chhattisgarh where you don't have wind. Now similarly coming to the question of agro-photovoltaics obviously is the need of the day, because solar obviously as we go we are increasing. It actually has started taking away the land which is cultivable land, especially if we talk about the states which are more dependent on agriculture. And if we have to go with renewable, with agriculture, and not to be compromised in that, agro-photovoltaics has to be there. Agro-photovoltaics has been taking a wonderful shape in the country today. It is no more a rocket science, it's a success story. And you will see both of the things, wherever they have a merit and they have a requirement, they will flourish.
I'll just add one point to that. Agro-photovoltaics makes sense wherever the land has lot of economic value from agriculture side. Now you see not many of renewable resource rich states are agriculture rich states, but like the states economy is there and the renewable is also there. Rooftop wind makes sense in a coastal states wherever there is a wind. There is also multi-story high-rise vertical growth and people don't have roof. And now if you don't have a roof but then you have balcony, you can have offshore, you can have that rooftop wind and you can have those kind of projects. So it's a location specific, we need to go for all.
But for the Gujarat, we have the 1600 kilometers or so more coastal belts, and by the industrialist at all coastal belt had been covered by the industries to have the much of height of the industrial shapes and all.
I have to pitch in here because I have not talked. Okay, so things that your question is very valid.
Yes.
We are talking about the Gujarat. We are talking about Gujarat next 5 steps, what will happen. Yes, and you know that JEDA, I think somebody is there. They have already floated the queries of the rooftop because it is there. Gujarat is nowhere in back foot. They have already floated the paper. There is a discussion happened. Now they have given an open challenge to wherever you can go, you go. Something like that. So now question is, you are having a very good questions. Nowadays that industrialization is happening like Kutch to Morbi and South Gujarat also. Till the Vapi. So there are some sort of, both for this two kind of technology, vertical axis and for horizontal axis. Both the things are being worked into because we are not living to that part, because first you have to satisfy yourself. So, as far as our company is concerned, we first install 1 or 2 prototype model, see the performance, then we'll come back that what is this things required. Something like that. So, what is the performance is the measurement. Like somebody is telling, what is the performance? Because today, what is the technology available? 5 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt, 15 kilowatt maximum. So, something. N number of manufacturers are also there. Okay. Some of the educational institute like PDPU, they have already started installing that. So we have to see the performance. So after having the performance, yes, that is a step for tomorrow emerging technology. If you coming to that much capacity, what Nimish was telling, 40 gigawatt leftover per year, 4 gigawatt. So something just is to be thought for agro photovoltaic, where is the barren lands are available, something. And this thing, yes, we have to explore for that. So that is the steps, we have to follow that, yeah.
Because my second one question, photovoltaic, because barren land is almost occupied for the solar projects. Now this one fertile land is only balanced for the solar adoption. So where maybe agro-photovoltaics will be the much better option to adopt the solar at ground level.
Okay. In fact, agro-photovoltaics also helps in expanding, reducing the expanding desert, because the surrounded area is not only solar project, it is along with agriculture, the expansion of desert would also stop. So that is also a very important initiative from climate change perspective. So I'll just conclude panel discussion here. As a summary statement, I would just mention that what we were talking is not energy transition. It is actually that whole blueprint of new age industrial revolution, which is triggered through this mission of energy transition. But it's a completely new industrial revolution, and what I see is 100 gigawatt roadmap or 100 gigawatt plan is just one of the draft version of that industrial revolution. So with this, I'll thank all the speakers who contributed in shaping this journey and the organizers for setting up this forum. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to draw the attention of all the participants that the event is now joined by Jinu Devan sir, MD Juvenile, MD DGVCL Mr. Chaudhary sir, MD PGVCL Joshi sir. Thank you all for your gracious presence for the event, sir. And I thank in particular the panel for the in-depth discussions that we've had, for their valuable insights and engaging discussion. And now to express our appreciation, we'll now present mementos to our distinguished panel. I request Mr. Nitesh Bidarkar from Juvenile to present a memento to Dr. Utpal Joshi. I now request Mr. J.B. Upadhyay sir from PGVCL to present a memento to Ms. Shubhra Thakur. I'll now call upon Mr. S.H. Jakhania from Juvenile to present a memento to Dr. Alok Das. I'll now call upon Mr. Parth Patel from Juvenile to present a memento to Mr. Ashu Gupta. And finally, I'll call upon Mr. Yuvraj Gadvi from UGVCL to present a memento to Mr. Nimish Vorasar. As we approach the close of today's seminar, I'll now call upon Mr. Nitesh Bidakar to deliver a vote of thanks.
As we come to the closer of this wonderful interaction panel discussion on Mission 100 Gigawatt State's commitment to Panchamrit, it is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the organization. First and foremost, I would like to place on record our heartfelt thanks to our esteemed panelists for sharing their times and insights. First of all, I am sincerely thankful to Professor and Dr. Utpal Joshi, Vice Chancellor, Saurashtra University, for sparing his valuable times from his busy schedule. Just. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for sparing your valuable time, ma'am. We are looking forward to connect you once again, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Joshi, sir, for your valuable time from busy schedule. You rightly emphasized that the Mission 100 Gigawatt is not only about the infrastructures, but it is also about the people, research, and capacity building. Sir, your emphasis on academia's roles in creating a future-ready workforce and solving the real-world problems was particularly very valuable, sir. I am also thankful to Dr. Alok Das, Group CEO, KP Group, for sharing a developer's perspective, a lens on executions, what it takes to deliver a project at scale, and the importance of timely clearance, evacuation readiness, and the need to move beyond the capacity additions, dependable to dispatchable and clean power. I also convey my heartfelt thanks to Ashu Gupta, Vice President CleanMax, for offering valuable insights from C&I and open access ecosystem, particularly how we can align consumer-led decarbonization with grid and DISCOM's realities through smart regulations, better market designs, and grid friendlies. Finally, I also like to extend my warm and special thanks to our moderator, Mr. Nimish Vora, for the wonderful moderations of the session, making it very engaging and bringing out useful insights from the discussions. I also thanks my heartfelt thanks to all the participants who have come in a big way and make this session very interactive. And finally, I thanks MD Junal sir Jenu Devan sir, MD PGVCL, Joshi sir, and MD Junal, MD UGVCL Chaudhary sir, and Director Finance KP Jangir sir for gracious presence in this session. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, and we are conclude this session. Thanks.